Alright, today we're going to be doing typefaces. What you need to do is go to your Google Classroom, find the instructions under typefaces. So you have a Google Doc shared with you that has instructions of what I'm expecting. You're going to be making 4 separate files. Each one is going to be their own face conveying their own emotion. Now if we look here, there's 4 here, but you can choose different ones than what's listed. Okay. There's also a video and an explanation of how to use type tools. And here are some examples of what I'm looking for. Now these are about a mid-range. Okay. So that would get a 7 or an 8. Depending on your level or how comfortable you are with Photoshop, I want you to push it past these 2 examples. Okay. So to get to Photoshop, you're going to go down to the bottom here. You can either type in Photoshop, okay, or if you go to All Programs and find the Adobe Master Collection, Photoshop will be right there. Okay. When it opens, you should get a window that looks similar to this. Now, what we're going to do for each typeface is make a new file. So what I want you to do is go File, New. A dialog box will pop up, and what I want you to choose is US paper. So it's 8.5 by 11. One of the things you always want to be aware of is your resolution. You never want it to be under 300, okay? Unless you're making a very, very tiny graphic that's going online that is going to be really small on the page. 100% of what we're doing in this class does not need to be that small. So minimum 300 resolution. I'm going to say OK. It's going to create my piece of paper for me to work on. Now, the only tool that we're really going to be working with today is the type tool. All of these other ones we'll talk about at another time. So, the type tool, when I click on it, up here, everything that is that goes with that tool will pop up here. Now, with the type tool, I can either click and it'll let me start typing, okay, or I can drag a box that I type within. Okay, so those are your 2 options. Now with the box one, it automatically, if I drag my cursor to the corner, lets me rotate it. Okay, the other option doesn't let me do that. So we're going to make a face. So I'm going to start with my eye, so that could be a 0 or an O. Now the thing I want you guys to be aware of is up here you have all of your different fonts. Okay, we can also download them off of the internet. Some fonts, this one doesn't have it. Some fonts are going to have your options for italic or bold, so that's going to change the shape. Okay, and then there's also your size here, so you can go in and type your size to change it, or you can find it in the list, but the list only goes up to 72. So if this is where I'm starting, if I don't like where that is, the other icon we're going to use on the left here is the very top one. That's your move tool. So right now I have that O layer highlighted, and I can now move this wherever I want to. Now, if I want to change the size of it and stretch it, the easiest way to do that is on your keyboard you're going to press Control-T for transform. And do you see how I have that box around there? So now what I can do is I can stretch it, I can pull it, I can shrink it. If you don't want it to get warped, what you have to do is hold the Shift button and pull at a corner. Do you see how it's not letting me warp it the way I was before? Okay. Again, if you pull your cursor over to the corner, it lets you rotate. So if I wanted it to look like that, perhaps. And then you have to hit the little check mark button at the top. Now, if I wanted both of my eyes to be exactly the same, I'm going to right-click on my layer, and I'm going to duplicate it. So now I have 2 of them. So I can move it over, and I have 2 starts of my eyes. Okay? And then we're just going to continue. So say I wanted to make something that was curved. So I'm just going to do this. Okay? So for this assignment, you can use symbols and numbers. I want you to keep everything black. Okay, so don't puke a rainbow on me. So now with this, if I have this layer selected and I go up here, this is our warp section. So if I want to curve it, Okay, so that's a lower arc, so making a smile. Okay, and you can mess with these sliders to get the effect that you want. Okay, so now I have a smile. What I want you guys to be doing is a far more complex version of this. So you're going to keep on adding to it. So maybe we start to add in hair. I probably want to add in something in the eyes. It needs a nose. Maybe it needs ears, etc., etc. Okay? But the majority of what you're going to be doing is using that type tool, drawing a box, or just clicking, typing in it. Okay? If you want to change your font, because sometimes you can get different shapes because the fonts look different, right? So it's going to give you a different effect depending on the type that you choose. Okay? So we're using that type tool. We're realizing that they're each going to be in their own layer. So think of Photoshop like a collage. Each piece that I add to it in a different layer is like I cut it out and I paste it on top of my background. Okay? If I don't like something, if I don't want it, I can highlight it and press delete on my keyboard or right-click delete layer. Okay? So we can duplicate if we want to copy things, and we can delete if we don't want them anymore. Now, for saving, what you're going to do, we're going to have 2 copies. So our initial copy as we're working, because we always want to save as we're working, so I'm going to go File, Save. I'm going to go to my computer. I'm going to go to my F drive, my Photo 10, Mod 1. Now, I'm going to have more than one file here. So I'm going to create a new folder called Typefaces. And then I'm going to save this inside of here. Now, I don't want it to be Untitled One. I want it to be Typeface. And then I want you to tell me the emotion that you're trying to go for. So let's say happy, because it's a silly little happy face. Okay? So right now, if you look here at my format, I'm saving it as a PSD. That's okay for a working document, but when you move it to the classroom, you need to save it as a JPEG. Okay? So say I was done. This one is not done. You won't get a good grade on it if it looks just like this. But for the sake of example, say this is done. I'm going to go to File again, and then I'm going to click Save As. I want to change my format to a JPEG. Okay? I'm going to hit Save. Maximum 12, that's fine. We want good quality. I hit OK. If I go into my files, into my P drive, into my F drive, Photo 10, and my typefaces, there are now 2 files. One is the JPEG, so if I look for previews, I can actually see that one if it's a JPEG, and then the PSD is just there with the PSD icon. Okay, then you're going to go, once you have all 4, you're going to then take those and upload them to the Google Classroom for me. Okay,